Why would Christians be rejoicing? Converted, isn't it? They converted to our side, isn't it? When Christians were being persecuted for their faith, Satan thought that he could destroy the Christian church by killing off all the Christians. But what was happening at the time? More people were becoming Christians. And so Satan had to change his strategy. He said, instead of destroying them, I'll place myself in the Christian church. And so there was,
I'll join them.
There was great rejoicing amongst the Christians. Has there been great rejoicing, especially in the Christian community within the current U.S. administration today? Has there been great rejoicing amongst Christians?
Yes, absolutely.
There seems to be a conversion going on. There seems to be a revival in America within its leadership to bring the country back to God. But can this lead to a Sunday law?
Yes.
Are we not seeing history repeat itself all over again? I'd like to bring some reports that you may have read, but I thought they were quite distressing. Speaking about papal influences, what was happening in the United States of America. Have you heard of I'm sure you've heard of it, the executive orders that are being brought about. One of the executive orders, which was signed in February, was called Eradicating Anti-Christian Bias. Have you heard of this? Yeah. Anti-Christian bias. So I looked at it. You can find this on the White House website. It's not secret. The purpose of this order is it is the policy of the United States and the purpose of this order to protect the religious freedoms of Americans and end the anti-Christian weaponization of government. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds good. Yeah, it sounds great.
Sounds good to me, isn't it? Because the previous government wasn't so Christian, were they? So the task of this, they put a task force together to implement this executive order, and it says, my administration will not tolerate anti-Christian weaponization of government or unlawful conduct targeting Christians. My administration will ensure that any unlawful and improper conduct, policies or practices that target Christians are identified, terminated, and rectified. And I thought, as I was reading, I said, okay, this doesn't sound too bad. And then I started to read the cases, and these are the cases which you can read, which brought upon this order. These are the cases. So, number one, it was the arrest and sentencing of peaceful protesters outside abortion facilities, which was a Catholic priest, a 75-year-old, 87-year-old, the father of 11 children. Can you imagine that? Father of 11 children, I haven't heard that in our day. But the second case was more than 100 attacks on Catholic churches, charities, and pro-life centers. Third one was an FBI memo asserted that radical traditionalist Catholics were domestic threats and suggested infiltrating Catholic churches to weaken the threat. The fourth one was the Biden Commission sought to force Christian colleges, campuses to affirm radical transgender ideology. That's the LGBT movement. And the fifth one was the number of attacks on Catholic churches has risen more than 8 times from 2018. If you find out about these attacks on the Catholic churches, they're not so much against the people, but it's against the actual buildings themselves, the statues, the buildings. And so these are the actual cases which brought upon this order. And my question was, what percentage of cases which were against Catholics which brought upon this order? What percentage do you think? It's not even, do you think about it? That's 4 out of 5 cases. the majority. I'll say 80 to 90%. Do you think that this order should be called eradicating anti-Christian bias or eradicating anti-Catholic bias? And I had a question, how long would it be until the book that we give out, that we share, that we believe in, the great controversy, would be called anti-Christian? Is the great controversy anti-Christian?
No.
It's not, is it? But it may be according to their minds. Because if you read the book Great Controversy, you find out that it speaks about Protestant churches, it speaks about the Catholic Church, and in their minds they will think this is anti-Christian. Yeah. So how long would it be until this book is outlawed and we cannot give it out no more? That's why I do appreciate the efforts of the Amersham Church and all the faithful who are giving out this book at this time to reveal the light and to expose what's happening. But is Catholicism Christian? The Bible is very clear. Revelation chapter 11. Now we're not speaking about the people, as you know. Speaking about the system. Revelation chapter 11 verse 2. But the court which is without the temple, leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the who? Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread under foot 40 and 2 months. Now this is a prophecy which was speaking about a power which would tread upon God's people for over 1,000 years. 1,260 years. And what does the Bible call that system which is treading upon these people? Given unto the who? Gentiles. The Catholic system is a Gentile system. Yeah, it is not a Christian system. So whenever someone speaks about, whenever we're speaking about a Christian, anti-Christian, anti-Catholic, it's not Christian. It's a Gentile system masquerading itself as Christian. So that's why it's very serious for us. Okay, the next one. Have you heard of Project 2025? Yes. It's a political initiative to reshape the federal government of the United States. So to change the government of the United States and consolidate the executive power in favor of right-wing policies. It was published by the Heritage Foundation. The president is Kevin Roberts. He's a devout Roman Catholic, and he has close spiritual ties with Opus Dei, which are a secret Catholic group. But there was a chapter in there. It's on the Department of Labor and related agencies, and I read it and I thought this is quite also eye-opening as well. It was speaking about the Sabbath rest. Now this is dear to our hearts. We believe in the Sabbath, and so let's see what they have to say. So it says in this chapter, it says Congress should encourage communal rest by amending the Fair Labor Standards Act to require that workers be paid time and a half for hours worked on the Sabbath. That day would default to Sunday, except for employers with sincere religious observance of the Sabbath at a different time. Example, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. That the obligation would transfer to that period instead. So do you see something wrong with this, friends?
We call it Sunday Sabbath.
They call it Sunday Sabbath, isn't it? They have exalted the Sunday now. So this was for the purpose of if you're an employer and you're trying to you'll be discouraged in allowing your workers to work on the Sunday because you have to pay more, isn't it? So you notice it says that day would default to Sunday. So Sunday is the default, except for employers with sincere religious observance of the Sabbath at a different time. So you think, oh, they gave concession to the true Sabbath keepers. Yes, that's right. So there's some problems with that, big problems. Sunday was exalted, Sabbath is lowered for a bit, and it's only for, if you notice, in sincere religious observance. It's the Sabbath, the true Sabbath is not looked at as the truth, as the Bible says, the seventh day, but it's just if you're sincere. Only if you're sincere. And also, that this is only related to employers. I'm not sure about yourself, friends, but how many of you are employers? Maybe some of you are so, some of us are. But most of us, we have to say we're employees. So I think it would be hard to benefit from this thing, because we're employees and not employers. So it's very interesting, friends. This was written by Jonathan Berry. He was a lecturer in the Catholic University of America. And just one more. This was just a few weeks ago. This was an event which was held by the Catholic for Catholics, the Catholic Prayer for America. The event location, this is March 19, just a few weeks ago. The event location was in Mar-a-Lago, Florida, and that was the home of President Trump. The advert was sponsoring 100 Catholic priests to join, and some of the statements was to support our mission to reclaim our country's Christian roots. And also another statement was, we're inspiring a new wave of Catholicism and love of country. We are restoring what it means to say I'm Catholic in the public square. We are changing the nation. I want you to notice the words, and shaping a more holy and moral future for America. And then it reminds me back to the great controversy, 235. Under various disguises, the Jesuits worked their way into offices of state, climbing up to be the counselor of kings, and what? Shaping the policy of nations. Great controversy, 581. Rome is aiming to re-establish her power, to recover her lost supremacy. Let the principle once be established in the United States that the church may employ or control the power of the state, that religious observances may be enforced by secular laws. In short, that the authority of church and state is to dominate the conscience, and the triumph of Rome in this country is assured. To dominate the conscience. Once people were thinking about church and state, that's when we're getting into dangerous ground.